Hi and welcome to another gaming video, and today's video is part 2 of my little mini series of looking at games collections bought by someone else. So like I say, this is going to be a 3-part. Previous video was talking about the Sega Dreamcast. This one is going to be about the Super Nintendo, and look out for one on the Atari 2600. So like the previous video, my wife bought me some consoles. It came with a load of games, and building your own game collection is fun, but when it's bought by somebody else, it can be a little tricky. You get a lot of games in there that you may not like or may not have heard of, or and it's different. And buying a game collection for someone else is not always the easiest. So I've already done the Sega Dreamcast, so this video is going to be looking at the Super Nintendo, and I got a Super Nintendo from my wife with a lot of games. And actually, how many games did I get? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and right. So it came with 15 games. She bought the console, it came with a few games, and then she went and bought some extra games to go with it. So I'm going to go through all of these games, all of these 15 games. They're in alphabetical order, and we'll just take a look at what games there are, whether they're good or bad, or whether I've even heard of them before, and then I'm going to pick my favourites out of this selection. So the Super Nintendo is an absolutely fantastic console. So the first one we've got here is Bugs Bunny Rabbit Rampage. I've not heard or seen this one before, but I've had a bit of a blast on it, and it's a bit of a fun platformer, very of the era. So just running and jumping, and it's full of Bugs Bunny and Looney Tunes sort of characters and fun. So that is a good game. Then we've got Desert Fighter, which I'd never heard of, but I did have a bit of a blast on this, and this is similar to Desert Strike. There was a few Strike games. This is a bit of a rip-off, should we say. I don't think it's made by the same people that made Desert Strike. So this is Desert Fighter. Aha! Now this one is FIFA 96. Now my wife does know me quite well, and she knows I like to have a copy of FIFA for every system. And what a good game! I actually played this quite a bit, and I do like it. No explanation needed, really. It's a FIFA game. This is Kirby's Ghost Trap. And it's not a regular Kirby game. It's not like Kirby's Dream World, where it's a sort of platformer, all cutesy. This is a sort of puzzle game. It's very similar to either Tetris or Columns. So yeah, that is Kirby's Ghost Trap. Good fun, but it's not a Kirby platformer. Now we have Lemmings. Now, I haven't played Lemmings for a very long time. It was very big when I sort of first started getting into gaming, and I don't think it translates massively well onto a console. I remember playing this on my PC. You had a mouse, it was a bit easier. It's a fun game, but on a console, it's not the easiest to play. This is a game I have played quite a bit. This is Mortal Kombat 2, and I have to say, it's a good game. It's fantastic, but it's one of the hardest Mortal Kombats I've ever played. I don't think I've actually won a match. I've come close, but I haven't won a match. So Mortal Kombat 2. Nigel Mansell World Championship Racing. Just your sort of regular bog standard Formula 1 kind of racing game. I mean, it's decent enough, but it's I don't think there's anything in there super special. This is a game I hadn't heard of. This is Pugsley's Scavenger Hunt. So it's an Addams Family game, and it's actually a very decent platformer. It looks fantastic, and it is quite difficult, but it's a good platform game. Starwing. Now this game really needs no introduction. If you're a Super Nintendo fan, you will know that this is one of the most advanced games on the system. It used the Super Effects chip, and it was probably one of my first introductions to 3D gaming. Absolutely superb. Flying, shooting in this 3D world, which, alright, it looks a bit crude these days, but back then it was amazing. One of my favourite games is Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. I've played a lot of Mortal Kombat, Dead or Alive, etc., but I think Street Fighter is still one of my favourite fighting titles. Yeah, and this one is superb. Played this a lot when it first came out, and it is a superb game. Street Racer. Now, I like this game, but it's very clear when you're playing it that it is pretty much a Mario Kart rip-off. The whole layout of the worlds and the tracks and just the whole general look of it. It looks like Mario Kart, but it is fantastic. I do love a bit of Street Racer. I think probably one of my favourite games on the platform, and certainly the game I've played most since I've recently repurchased a Super Nintendo, is Super Bomberman. Absolutely love Bomberman. I played this when it first came out, and I probably played it for months on end solid. It is just an absolutely awesome game. If you don't know what Bomberman is, then you really need to be looking these up. It's you just walk around. You've got to try and clear levels by bombing enemies and brick wall kind of things. And Bomberman is just fantastic. It can get very difficult, but it is absolute fun, and especially if you're playing with someone else. The two-player element of this is insane. It's fantastic. This is Super Mario All-Stars, which is, well, there's two sort of versions of Super Mario All-Stars. There's this one, and then there's one that also includes Super Mario World. Now this one doesn't, and it's probably the first time that I came across Nintendo doing what Nintendo do a lot these days, and it's rebadging and repackaging old games onto one cartridge. But back then it was like, oh yeah, I'm buying one cartridge and I'm getting 4 games. So these were sort of NES games. They were repackaged, maybe spruced up a little bit, and put on here. Super Mario Bros. 2, 3 and The Lost Levels. Still a good game, and if you can find a version of this that has Super Mario World already on it, then you get 5 in 1. But there you go, Super Mario All-Stars. And you cannot own a Super Nintendo without owning Mario Kart. And even today, I still love playing this. It's fantastic. It's the first entry in the Mario Kart series, and well, it's just superb. It's classic Mario Kart. Alright, it looks a little bit dated, especially compared to newer versions, but it's absolutely fantastic fun, especially with the two-player element. So there you go. And we come to the final game on this list, and it is Super Mario World. Absolutely platform-defining game. Super Mario World is still hellishly fun to play today. Don't think I've ever completed it, but it's a game that you can go back to over and over again. One of the best Mario titles ever. And there you go. So that is me quickly running through the, what did I say, 15 games? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Yes, 15 games that came with my console gift collection, shall we call it. So my wife bought me a Super Nintendo. It came with some games. She added to it. 15 games in total. If I was to pick my top 3 out of that, it would be Super Bomberman, Super Mario World. Ooh, this is quite difficult. And probably Street Fighter 2 Turbo. So there you go. 15 games that came with my Super Nintendo. I don't think there's anything in there that is filler. Maybe Nigel Mansell's World Championship. It's an alright game. Don't think I'll play Desert Fighter that much. Haven't actually played Kirby's Ghost Trap, but I know that it is. It was also known as Kirby Avalanche, and it's not a sort of Kirby platformer. So yeah, there's not any game in there that I would say are rubbish. There's a few that were just sort of sit there for collection purposes, but the majority of those are fantastic. She's done a very good job at picking which games I liked, and there's a few in there I hadn't heard of, and they're still fantastic. So there you go. That is the Super Nintendo gift bundle video wrapped up, the second in this series. Look out for the final one on the Atari 2600, and if you haven't already, go and check out the one on the Sega Dreamcast. Hope you enjoyed that. Link, like, subscribe, enjoy.